it's just Martine, and today we're going to be talking through my 2024 reading and channel goals. You may be thinking to yourself, Martine, it's the end of January. Why are you talking about this now? And the answer is very simple. My upload schedule has been slammed before now. This is the first chance I've had to upload this video. So in fact, now that I'm looking through it, here's my brain dump journal, and I have to like flip back a while to get to my page where I talk about my goals. But we're getting to it. The question also might be, if you've waited this long and you've already written down your goals and thought about them, why even put them out into the universe? There are a couple things about this for me. One, it's a fun, easy video to make. Two, I think this gives you some insight into how I think about goals and achievements and what I want for the next year. And it also helps you set up your expectations for me for the year to come. And this channel, what can you expect here? I will start with my word of the year because I think it drives a lot of what I'm doing, and that is purpose. My word is purpose because I was talking with my major professor at the end of last semester, and I think the real disconnect that I'm having in pretty much every aspect of my life right now is that I consistently and constantly get bogged down in the day-to-day things and the little tedious tasks, and I forget why. So I want to find a way to center on why this year and center on intentionality and move with purpose. That helped me form some of these other goals that I'm going to share with you today. We're going to start with reading goals because I love reading, and no matter how many times at the end of this channel I say reading, writing, and college lifestyle, I mainly post about reading, so we'll start there. My Goodreads goal. Everybody has a different philosophy about how they set their Goodreads goal. I set it to 52, one book for each week of the year. I intend to read more than 52 books, but I would like to read 52 books. It's a goal that's totally doable pretty much no matter what the year throws at me, and that's what I'm really considering. Is at the beginning of this year, I don't know what will happen this year, and I want to set myself up to be content and to achieve things that matter to me in the long run. And so does it matter to me necessarily to hit 100 or 200 or 300 books this year? No, it doesn't. What matters to me is that I have a habit of reading, and I think a book a week at the pace that I read means that that habit is intact. As of today, we are well on our way to that goal because I've been participating in Squash That Series, and this round of Squash That Series is competitive. And so you know I've been reading too much already. And so this 52 book goal will be behind us for longer than it will be in front of us, but that's okay. I'm not gonna change it. That's how it is. 52 books. Another priority for me this year is owned ebooks. I made one of my 12 TBRs videos about my owned ebooks last year. I just have too many of them for various reasons, whether it's getting Amazon First Read books every month, but mainly services that tell you when there are free ebooks, and then non-discriminately getting a ton of them because free books are hard to say no to. So my goal for that is 24 owned ebooks. That's my 24 and 24, but also not really because there are other books that I want to read this year. You'll see that some of these goals don't work together. Like my 52 books doesn't necessarily work with how many different categories I want to fit books in. For example, I have a tracker where I want to read at least 24 owned books, meaning physical owned books, not owned ebooks, and yet I say 24 owned ebooks in this one, and you know, 24 plus 24, that's getting awfully close to my 52. We'll see what happens. So yeah, owned ebooks. The reason that this is a goal is just because I want to make sure they are not all just sitting there forever and ever. I don't have to read every single one of them in my lifetime. That's okay, but I would like to read some of them. So this goal will help keep that top of mind for me. The next reading goal is to earn a Kindle Paperwhite. I made a deal with myself in July of last year because my sister had just gotten her Kindle Paperwhite and she brought it on a road trip, and she was like, this is just different. And I brought my iPad on the road trip because I wanted a bigger screen to read ebooks on. And I was like, well, I feel like I cannot justify getting a Kindle Paperwhite because I've had e-readers in the past, and clearly I'm not using those now. I thought about the reasons why I don't use them. For my Kindle Fire, it's because I won it in like, not a raffle thing, but kind of like a raffle thing. So I didn't really pick it out myself, and it's basically like a slow tablet, which is not the e-reader experience that I'm looking for. And then as for like way back in the day when I had a Nook, I couldn't connect that with my library, so there were only so many free books available there that I could read and was interested in growing up. But when I think about my reading now, I think a Kindle, especially like a Kindle Paperwhite type style, would be very helpful. Here's the rule that I set for myself. I said none of your behavior in the past can justify you spending money on a Kindle, but you can change your behavior. So I told myself, if I, for a year, from July to July, consistently read ebooks on my iPad, I can justify getting a Kindle. So I've been working on that for half the year, and that half the year has gone well. I just need the other half now. So we got to just keep moving forward. That's one of the goals. I did write 24 owned physical books here. Look at that. You already know one. Next, my next goal involves time read. I track all my reading on Bookly. I do have the premium lifetime subscription to that. So I paid for it like 3 years ago, and now I've used it more, like I've made up the worth for it since then. So I love Bookly, and one of the things it tracks is how much time you spend reading. And so I would like to read at least an hour a day on average, and that means 365 hours in the year. Just like my 52 books, I'm ahead of where I need to be for this, but it's just something that I wanted to keep in mind. And then finally, as far as reading goes, one thing that I was thinking about a lot last year was how halfway through the year I made this decision that I wanted my short books to be less than 50% of my books last year. In doing so, I was really proud of the progress I made there, and I feel like it made me less scared of big books to focus on them for a while. But at heart, I love short books. And a lot of times the ways that books are cheap or free is when they're short. A lot of Dollar Tree books are really short. A lot of free Kindle books really short. And I don't want to feel like I can't read those things just to meet an arbitrary statistic I set myself. So I'm dubbing this the year of short books. And it already has been. I've read so many short books already, but also some not short books. But the reason I'm calling it the year of short books is because I don't want to limit myself in how many short books I read. If I only want to read books that are under 100 pages, go for it. It's the year of short books. There are no limits. So those are my reading goals. I think a lot of the intention behind that is look at what you have and spend time reading what you want, basically. Those are the focus of those goals. So moving on to channel goals, which the reason that I share channel goals is not to shove any numbers in your face or anything. It's simply to have a discussion about this place that we share together and what it's going to look like this year. Typically every year I set the goal to publish 100 videos. It does take me all year to do this, but if you think about it, my typical upload schedule is Wednesdays and Sundays, and so that's 2 a week. There are 52 weeks in a year, so that's 104 typical possibilities for videos. Sometimes I take breaks, so that goes down, but usually at the end of the year, I have an influx of content, and that bolsters it back up. The reason I say that I want to publish 100 videos is because I want to be consistently putting out content about twice a week. The number of overall videos not only creates a backlist and a library on my channel for you to explore whenever you want, but also it means that I'm showing up consistently for you. That's the thinking behind the 100 videos. I did it last year, I'm doing it again this year. Another thing that I'd really love to do this year is successfully do the 12 TBRs of Christmas. 12 TBRs of Christmas is this huge project I like to do where I set 12 different TBRs, so groups of books with wacky themes. I read them throughout the year, and starting on Christmas Day, I upload them for the next 12 days, and I review usually like 60 something books during that time. I would like to do that this year. I know there will be a year where 12 TBRs is not as possible. Again, maybe that same year where I can only read 52 books. But while I can do it, I love doing it. And one of the things I want to do this year is make it so that it is more sustainable for the future. And that doesn't mean doing less intense TBRs. That just means being better about how I plan it throughout the year and make progress. Not just in reading, which I'm always pretty good at, but also in production. Maybe working on thumbnails and editing earlier than I usually do, because I usually do it all at once, and that's horrific and not sustainable in the future. So 12 TBRs, I'd love to do them. We're gonna try to make them happen. The next goal for this channel is to turn back and finish some old projects. For instance, I think one of my very first videos, it was like shortly after my booktube newbie tag, I started rereading my childhood favorite series, Kingdom Keepers. And I plodded along through that for a while. I got through book 5. I stopped. I set it on my goals last year to finish this reread, and then didn't even pack book 6 and 7 with me to come to school. I have remedied that this year. Book 7 is up there, I'm not gonna get it, but book 6 is right here. I wanna finish this reread Because if anybody ever wants to watch these videos, they're just going to alarmingly get to the end of book 5 and be like, it's gone. And also because I do want to reread these books. We're especially getting to the books in the series that I may have never reread before. I've never fully reread the last book in the series. 1, because it's huge, and 2, because it was a little weird. But I'd love to be able to do that. So that's an example of a project. And some projects will never be finished, but I'd still like to turn back to them. So last year I focused a lot on weekly reading vlogs, and I still want to do that a lot of the time, but I want to make it so that there's room for more themed vlogs as well. For instance, I used to do videos where I would go on Project Gutenberg, which is a public domain website, download books from there and read stuff from there and review it because it's accessible to a lot of people, particularly other readers who are in the United States. And so I like telling you, oh, there's this free book that you can get and it's really good and you should read it. You might never have heard of it, because I like sharing accessible reading resources with other people. So I want to turn back to that project. One goal that I put on my list that I kind of hate myself for putting on this list, but I know it needs to happen and I want it to happen, is that I need to update one particular old video. There is one video on my channel that gets watched more than any other video I've ever made, and it is maddening because the quality is not good and it's quite old now. I made it my first Christmas that I was on YouTube, and that was before I came up with the 12 TBRs of Christmas. So that year I did Vlogmas, and I was scrambling to try and find 25 different video ideas, and I was like, what if I just talk about my school experience and what it's like, because I'm getting kind of a weird, unique degree, so we'll just talk about it. And so I talked about the truth of studying forensic psychology in college, and that video gets watched every single day. And I want to update it, especially now that I'm a graduate student. I feel like I have so much more knowledge to share and impart, so I want to update it. It's very daunting because, like, what if the new video crashes and burns and people just continue watching the old one and they never give the new one a shot, and then it doesn't matter that I made it, and like, what if it's not good, and what if it's not helpful, and all of these things. This is the video that I get the most in my head about, but I really, really, really want to do it. Another fear that I have with it is that I spend most of my time on the channel talking about books, and so people find my channel through this one specific video, and then I like rarely talk about that topic on my channel at all. And so I kind of don't want to remake it, because then it might bring new people in and they'll have a false expectation of my channel. And you can see, as my friend would say, it's the anxiety mosquito. I've just been kind of ridiculous about this video. I want to do an update, so I'm gonna do an update this year, okay? I'm gonna do an update for fun, for me. That's the goal. The next is that I would like to do a total of 12 reading sprint live streams in the year, which is about 1 a month. I've not yet found a good time in January to do one, so we're not off to the best start, but we're working on it. It's been on my mind, and that's what matters. There are a couple reasons for this. 1, I want to foster more community. 2, I'm kind of lonely at school sometimes. It's nice for me to reach out and hang out with y'all and talk about books and read books together and just feel less alone in this tiny room. But then also, just for transparency's sake, I do want to get my watch time up from an analytical perspective, and I make short videos and I'm not going to stop making short videos. So I need to do something that has a larger watch time alongside that. So I'm gonna try to do more live streams. And that kind of feeds into my last goal, which is that I would really love to hit 1,000 subscribers this year on YouTube. It's been a long journey to get where I am now on YouTube, and I'm so, so, so grateful for every single one of you that's here and spends any time with me. The reason I want to hit 1,000 subscribers is not because the number really matters to me. It is more so that I think it is one way for me to judge when my content is progressing. I don't want my content to stay stagnant. I want to continue to improve and making videos and do bigger and better things. And the hopes is that by setting this goal of incoming people to the channel, the way I'll address that goal is by saying, well, something has to improve over here. So the goal of this is actually to drive me this way, if that makes any sense. And with that, those are all of my goals for the year related to reading and the channel. I mean, I always have lots of things on my mind about things that I want to do with my reading and things I want to do with my channel, but these are the things I've decided are top priority, most important to me this year, and will kind of help drive me and my purpose as I continue making videos this year. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and comment down below. Do you have a word for the year? If so, what is it? And subscribe for more reading, writing, and college lifestyle content. And until next time, bye humans, bye!